Hello, when you create complex and gigantic machines, there is also the need to create vehicles to transport them. So, how are the extremely large and heavy objects transported? In these cases, an extremely complex project for their locomotion becomes necessary. To achieve this goal, special equipment and means of transportation are used, and require well-qualified professionals. Welcome to our channel. Today I would like to present the most amazing transports that exist around the world that you have never seen before. So let's get started. Bullwinkle Oil Platform. The Bullwinkle Oil Platform was built in 1988. At the time, this was undoubtedly the largest oil platform in the world. Just by looking at it, we are already frightened, aren't we? Bullwinkle weighs about 77,000 tons. After its construction, it had to be moved to a drilling site in the Gulf of Mexico. That was the most interesting part. The destination was an oil field 260 kilometers southwest of New Orleans in the United States. A huge ship was specially built to act as a kind of tugboat to transport this oil platform. This bar appeared to be very small compared to the oil platform. Even though the oil platform was huge and very difficult to transport, it is important to point out that this job was done in only 3 days. There were rumors that this oil platform, over 482 meters high, cost about $500 million to build. Now, imagine how much more was spent to transport that. It is kind of disheartening, isn't it? As you may have noticed, the Bullwinkle is certainly one of the most impressive constructions we are going to present. Wind turbine blade. And next I will introduce the wind power generator. You probably already know what this generator is, what it is used for, and how essential it is to obtain clean energy. But I believe that few people have stopped to think about how it is transported to its destination. To better understand this issue, I will present some interesting examples. 4 years ago, Chinese workers had to install a wind generator on a mountain at an altitude of 3 kilometers. Hard to imagine, isn't it? To accomplish this feat, the blades were loaded onto a special truck and transported to their destination. The big problem was the 5.5-kilometer winding road, which had a 30-degree incline. Each blade weighs 12 tons and is 50 meters long. And these blades had to be transported into the mountains by a truck that was prepared, strong, and built exclusively for this purpose. For reactors from the Akinsk oil refinery. The incredible task of transporting hydro-refining reactors to Akinsk oil refinery was one of the largest in Russia. In addition, this job was published in the Guinness Book, the Book of Records, as the heaviest cargo transport service ever performed by road traffic. Incredible, isn't it? The reactor was first transported to the port of Mantova in Italy. After that it was transported to Dujinka by a barge that is numerous times larger than an ordinary one, and from there it was taken to a temporary corridoro in Kubakovo across the Yenisei River. Then it was necessary to transport these reactors of over 2,500 tons to an oil refinery in Akinsk. As you may have realized, this would be a very difficult task, requiring a huge transport vehicle to complete the whole job. So, the experts decided to use a special transport vehicle with 384 wheels and 24 double axles. The length of this vehicle was considered a record with an unbelievable 36 meters. Yacht Model 175 Pink Djinn. The model Yacht 175 Pink Djinn, also known as Silver Giant, is a very large sailboat. Its length is 53.9 meters, with a width of 9.55 meters. This beautiful 245-ton yacht was opened in 2017. The price of the 175 Pink Djinn? Just imagining it is scary, but it is even scarier to imagine how much it would cost. The only mistake during the transport of this yacht, fortunately, no accidents occurred during transport. Silver Gin was successfully transported from Finland to a loading and unloading site. Along the way, in order to transport this yacht, some roads had to be widened, as its size was too big to pass on some streets, not to mention that all traffic signs along the way had to be removed to avoid damage. The company's Tengiz Kevroil. Caspian Development Company's services has included in its business large cargo transportation. It was this very company that carried out the largest transport business in Kazakhstan, the 340-ton facility of the Tengiz Kevroil Company for oil refining production ordered in Europe. It was initially transported across the Caspian Sea and then, by road vehicle, to its destination. The main part of the facility was loaded onto a huge 160-wheeled transport vehicle, each wheel supporting the equivalent of 12 tons. And thanks to this method it was possible to avoid a lot of damage to the road surface. Fortunately, these other parts were smaller than the main part. The residential area of 30 houses. In 2016, there was a rather rare incident in Sweden. An entire residential area of 30 houses was transported. This amazing event was made possible by the company LKAB and the truck horse from the company Scania. What happened was that the properties in this area were preventing the expansion of the Momberget mine, until finally the local government agreed to relocate these properties. However, some houses had historical values. So instead of demolishing them, they decided to relocate them to another site without modification. Only one detail: the heaviest house was 230 tons. These houses were moved 7 kilometers from their original location by a powerful 620 horsepower truck. This powerful horsepower truck towed a body called the Nicholas MDH, which has 18 axles and 144 wheels. Saturn Rocket 5. The rocket ship is undoubtedly one of man's greatest inventions. But as you can all imagine, building a rocket already at the launch site is quite impractical. For this reason, the construction of the rocket takes place in a completely different location, and after it is completely built, the rocket is transported to the launch site for space. The space rocket called the Saturn V was the one that took the Americans to the moon in 1969 and is still considered the heaviest rocket built so far. Try to imagine the rocket weighing 3,100 tons and being 111 meters high. A Caterpillar-type transport vehicle, called a crawler transporter, was developed to carry the Saturn V to its destination. This is the most powerful vehicle in history, but do you know what is most interesting about all this? It is that the transporter was developed in the 1960s. But to this day there is still no vehicle comparable to it. With powerful engines, this vehicle can transport huge loads of up to 8,000 tons. Furthermore, this vehicle is operated by a team of 30 specialists. Granite monolith of 340 tons. Something very rare has happened recently at the Los Angeles Museum. There was a super interesting exhibit called Levitated Massachusetts. This exhibit is about a long juice made of concrete with huge ton rock on it. Everyone who visits this place feels as if a huge rock without any support or safety net is floating in the air. But I wonder how this rock was transported from the quarry to the museum? The height of this rock alone was 6.5 meters. To carry this stone through the city required a giant body from the company Emert International. This vehicle consisted of 22 axles with independent brake systems. It had 196 wheels, and it is estimated that adding the front of the truck and the stone together, its weight reached a total of tons. As the speed of this vehicle was 15 kilometers per hour, it took days for this stone to reach its destination. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching us to the end. I would like to end the video by saying, now you know everything, but we know that's not true. To really know everything, you need to subscribe to this channel, because we are going to present even more amazing things. So, until next time. We have one more amazing video to point you to. See you in the next video. Bye.